class number 3. We're in the middle of paragraph number 5 of Sichot HaRan, where Rabbi Nachman is talking about the sakana of learning philosophy and why it's so important that a person have simple emunah in learning Torah, because that simple emunah will guarantee that the person will understand everything properly, and that simple emunah will guarantee that a person will take the Torah study in the proper way, so that the Torah he's learning will make the proper changes in his life. And Rabbi Nachman, he starts off by saying, number 1, don't get involved with books of philosophy. What's philosophy? Philosophy discusses behind trying to guess why Hashem created the things the way He did. What's dangerous about that? Because by asking why Hashem did what He's doing, a person can chas v'shalom from the questions begin to have doubts. And then when he hears the answers given for the why, the answer is very weak, and the person is stuck with the rest of his life with these questions. They bother him. He tries to get them out, but it's so bothering him because he went so deep, so it's very, very difficult to get it out. So Rabbi Nachman, he teaches it's better not to open the books in the first place. If you haven't started, don't start. It's like they tell someone, if you haven't started smoking, then don't start. Once you started, it's hard to stop smoking. But if you haven't started yet, take our advice, don't start, because you're going to be stuck afterwards. The same thing with learning philosophy. He says it's not dangerous. So now, we're in the middle of paragraph number 5, Sif Hey. He says like this, V'amar, Ashreinu shemoshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom, bachar lanu chelek tov me'od. Rabbeinu said, we're so lucky, we're so fortunate that Moshe Rabbeinu alav hashalom, he chose for us a good portion, very much, a very good, chelek tov me'od. V'natan lanu et Torah, and Moshe Rabbeinu gave us the Torah, because we call it Torah to Moshe. Hashem used Moshe Rabbeinu to give the Torah to us, and that means that Moshe Rabbeinu chose how to give over the Torah. So we give the credit to how we have the Torah to Moshe Rabbeinu. Bachar lanu chelek tov me'od, v'natan lanu et Torah, and Moshe Rabbeinu gave us the Torah. Upatach ba, and he began the Torah with Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. Right at the beginning, Genesis, Bereshit. How does the Torah start? In the beginning of the creation of God, of heaven and earth, without questions, without saying there was a God, and God decided to create the world. No questions. You should know, just we shove it into the person's mouth. There's a God. We don't just say, and there was a God. It's understood already. Bereshit bara Elokim, who's Elokim? No questions. You should know there's somebody called Elokim. We don't ask any questions. Give it straight to Him. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'chulei, bli shum chakirot u'moftim shelahem. Without, and Moshe Rabbeinu started the Torah without all types of discussions to get to who was Hashem and how things started, chas v'shalom, and the moftim, the wonders that they use, the philosophers, and the way they talk. When he says moftim, he's referring to the way the books of philosophy, they write their ways, are very attractive to the intellectual person. They present it in a way which is very attractive. And they said Moshe Rabbeinu did not do that. Rak tziva aleinu. Rather, Moshe Rabbeinu ordered us by giving over the Torah in the format that Hashem gave it to him, and without changing it, because it was up to Moshe Rabbeinu. We know that Moshe Rabbeinu also gave the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Torah Shebechtav is one part, is the main part, and the Torah Sheba'al Peh. So we see Moshe Rabbeinu has a part in how the Torah is given over, and he chose to keep it the way that Hashem gave it to him, Bereshit, to give it that way. No questions asked. Rak tziva aleinu, Moshe Rabbeinu just ordered upon us, leha'amin b'Hashem yitbarach b'emunah levad, to simply believe in Hashem, with no intellectual discussion of how there was Hashem and there has to be a creator, and therefore, because there has to be a creator, there was a God. For example, I don't even talk about it. But he ordered us just believe simple emunah that there is Hashem. No questions asked. Who, what? No. There's Hashem. Period. We start telling the story. And Hashem created. Who's Hashem? The child doesn't ask. We start a child with the Chumash. It's understood there's an Eibishter in Yiddish. There's an Eibishter, there's a God. No questions asked. The child, with his simplicity, absorbs everything you give to him, the way you give it to him. So we feed the children when they begin learning the Torah, children in the schools of the Torah. It's quickly fed, it's spoon-fed to them without any introduction. There's a God, period. And we're in the middle of the story already, and there's no room for them to ask, and they're not expected to ask, and they're not going to ask. It's just give it to them now in that format. So that's the way Moshe Rabbeinu gave the Torah. So therefore, if Moshe Rabbeinu himself didn't start the Torah with speculations and all types of cheshbonot and calculations and explanations of behind, the why, and the why there has to be a God and everything, a creator and all, we go into that and then to present the story. So therefore, because Moshe Rabbeinu did not do that, it's forbidden for us to enter into the realm, the domain of speculation, which is asking why. The word speculate also means I speculate, like it's an assumption. The word chakira is choker. He's digging to find something. So that's the danger of digging to the why. We don't ask why, we accept the emunah, and the more you accept the emunah, things become clearer in life because of the emunah. If you don't have this emunah, you'll always have questions. It's like Rabbi Chaim Rosen used to say, an amazing saying. He said, a person who has emunah has no questions. And a person who doesn't have emunah, he has no answers. It's amazing. A person who has emunah, no questions. And a person who doesn't have emunah, he has no answers. He's stuck. He's stuck. How he says it, it's amazing. No chakiras, no speculation. Just accept. Even though you might find in the Zohar Kadosh, the Holy Zohar, who meganeh yirat ha'onesh, you find in the Zohar it puts down someone who fears Hashem out of punishment. Why is he mentioning this here? Because in the previous paragraph of this paragraph 5 is long. And in the previous paragraph, Rabbeinu started talking about the difference between someone who has fear because of punishment and fear because of the greatness of Hashem. Just the what's it called? The perception that a person has of Hashem creating the world. You look at the world. You begin to think, Hashem, what these big mountains, the Rocky Mountains, the Colorado, the Yosemite Park, all these giant mountains and the creation of the world, and there's Hashem behind it. And you begin to realize the greatness of Hashem in your tiny eyes, you being a physical human being, and you see what Hashem created. And then when you learn more Torah, and you see how the Torah and the Chassidut and the Kabbalah, they show you the depth of behind the creation, you become amazed of how great Hashem is, and automatically you begin to have yirah in relationship to Hashem's greatness, as opposed to what's called yirah of punishment. Oh my God, if you do this, you can get punished. If you do this, you get rewarded. So he's going back to that now, what we said last week. I'm not going to repeat it again because we spoke about it last week. So he's saying now, and even though in the Holy Zohar, he puts down, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, whoever's talking in the Zohar, he puts down what's called fear of punishment, saying the main thing is to have fear of Hashem because of His greatness. Yirat ha'onesh is a joke, and the Zohar makes fun in a way, puts down, chaval to waste your time on Yirat ha'onesh, get to your Ramamut. So even though he's saying in the Zohar it's understood like that, kvar mevuar al zeh terutzim b'sifrei musar. The Musar books, especially the Reshit Chochmah, which is based on the Zohar, they answer this question. The answer is given that really, because he said, Rabbi Nachman says the main thing is the fear of punishment. You can't begin to serve Hashem if you don't realize that you can get burnt if you don't do this. If you don't eat, if you don't fast on Yom Kippur, you can get punished. If you chas v'shalom turn on the light on Shabbos, there's a punishment. What keeps you in shape? The realization that you can get a patch if you do wrong, and if you do good, you get rewarded. That's what gives a person the boost to get him to do something. There's someone who's in bed. So what do you do to get him out of bed? You take an electric shock, get up, okay. Right? How does he get out of bed? You hurt him, you give him a pinch. Ow, it hurt, hey, what are you doing? Yes, get up already. Okay, I'm up. What gets a person moving, even though he's upset about it, it bothers him, but that's what gets a person in shape. Like for example, to go to work. If now the boss says, okay, you can get up anytime you want, you can come anytime, the person's never going to get the job done. He's always, the boss is always, but if the boss says, why aren't you here on time? I'm paying you to come at 9 in the morning, you come at 10:30, you're fired. So the person has a fear. I'm going to lose my job, I need the money. So too, in Kedusha, right? Hashem has to give the attitude of a person, hey, you need a pot chair, you got to wake up. You need that. And it bothers you, but that's how we get a person to get something done, is that you have to do it, and it hurts him, it's painful and everything, but that's how, like a person now, he's exhausted, but I have to get to work on time, I have to go to work at 9, even my hair is like this, and my shirt, my tie is upside down and everything, but I have to be there at 9. He has a drive, and he's upside down, the guy's mamish upside down, and it bothers him and everything, but still, it's a push, and even though he's not into it, and he's not happy about it and everything, still, he gets the job done. And so Ibn Achman says that the main thing is Yirat HaOnish. You need to, even all the great tzaddikim, first you have to start with the basic Yirah. Not to jump straight, oh Hashem is so great and floating. It's like hippie attitude. Person who has the attitude of just floating, so they never get things done. You have, unfortunately, many people today, I saw when I was in America and everything, you have guys, families that have boys, children at home still, they're 20 years old, 30 years old, they're not married yet, and the parents, they don't push the child to do anything, and the person is trying to, dream about Hashem and attitudes and this, and that hasn't moved, he hasn't budged in life. Things are not moving, because you need that boost. Hey, there has to be work. If you do this, you're going to get it. If you don't do this, you're not going to get it. It's very simple. Reward and punishment, right? I said the joke, I'll say it again. It's a funny joke. It was a father and a son, and the son wanted to go to the Himalayas, to Nepal, to meditate in the mountains and everything, and they have a special college, university. So the father was religious, Jewish, and the son was beginning to go off the path, and he was begging his father to pay for the tuition to go to the Himalayas, to the mountains, to be there. So the father was worried. He said, listen, I'll pay for you to go on condition that you promise me you're going to put on tefillin every day. So the son said, okay, I promise. But he didn't mean it. And the father knew he didn't mean it, but he said, yeah, okay. So he paid him for the ticket to begin with. And he said, okay, I don't have all the money now. I'll pay for the ticket and give them already just one installment for the first month. And I'll send you them once you're there and maybe you get settled up. The second month I'll send you the money. So the son said, oh great, wow, because he's getting what he wanted. So after the first month is coming up, the son calls his father, Dad, okay, everything's great, I need the money now. I need the money for the second month. He said, oh okay, I'm happy, how you doing and this and that. I'm sending the money, don't worry. Just tell me, my son, are you putting on tefillin every day? He says, yes, Dad, I'm putting on tefillin. Don't worry, I'm putting on tefillin. And he's lying, the son is lying. He says to get his father happy. He said, okay. So after 2 days, the son, Dad, did you send the money out? He said, I had this come up and everything. Don't worry, my son, I'm going to get it on the way. Are you putting on your tefillin? He said, yes, already. Dad, come on, don't ask me again. I told you already, I'm putting on my tefillin. You heard this already. Wait, somebody mentioned this? Oh, this is funny though. So after another day, Dad, did you send the money? Come on, I have to pay to be here. I don't have money to pay. He said, listen, it's on the way. Are you putting on your tefillin? Leave me alone. I put on my tefillin. Enough already. I'm putting on my tefillin every day. So the father said, well, my son, if you were putting on your tefillin, you would see that I put the money in the tefillin bag. What's the idea? It's that you need reward and punishment to get a person to do something.
The money was in the tefillin bag?
Well, he put the money for the second month in the tefillin bag. So if his son was putting on tefillin behemet, he would find the money. He wouldn't ask. That's amazing. No, but the idea is, what gets a person into shape is reward and punishment, right? And so the father won in the end. Obviously, the father said, "I'm not paying for you. I'm not keeping you there. You're not going to film it. That's it. You can stay there. I'm not paying for you. You can come back. It's finished." Right? You have the money there for the second month, and that's it. You can use that to fly back. I'm not sending anymore. You did not keep your word. You said you promised you put on the tefillin, etc. So that's what Rabbeinu is saying here, is that Yirat HaOnish you need. Everybody needs it to start with. and even though you hate the person, I can't stand him, I can't stand my boss, I can't stand to get up in the morning, I can't stand the Rosh Hashiva, I can't stand what they do to me and this and that, and I have to be on time and it's against your will, but that's what builds a person. And that's why Rabbeinu says, the Yirat HaOnesh, you need Hashem to give the attitude to the person to scare him. Hey, wake up. Life is not a picnic, like they say. HaChaim is a little picnic, they say here in this radio, there's a lot. Life is not a picnic. In other words, you have to make sure that you get smacked a little in order to be shaped properly. And once you're shaped and molded properly, more or less, because no one's perfect, and there's always ups and downs, then you can think about Yirat HaRamut. Yirat HaRamut only begins once you put the train on the train track. You can't now start advancing to Yirat HaRamut if the train is not on the train track. You have to first put the train on the train track and then you can go forward. But now you have a train not on the train track, on the bricks and everything. It's not going to move. It's not going to advance. You have to first get the person positioned properly in the right area. That's the idea of Yirat HaOnesh, and then we can talk about Yirat HaRamut. That's how it is in life. That's how it is for children also. Children have to be educated with a pachad in a sense. Yes, it's not a thing to overly do it, but like Rabbeinu, like the Midrash says, it's the Midrash in this week's Parsha on Shmot. The Midrash talks about scaring the children, that the Rebbe, he can point to the belt on the wall, not to hit the child, but to warn him, hey, there's a belt there, be careful, there's a whip. To scare, not to use it. The Midrash goes into that. It's an amazing Midrash, the Midrash Rabbah on Shmot, I remember it. It's used to an incentive to know that there's reward and punishment, because that's what get a person, like when the Rebbe looks at the child, with the look, the parental look, the teacher look, so that's that they get a fear, because they know they're going to get in trouble, they get embarrassed, whatever, so that's needed. So that's going back. כבר מבואר על זה תירוצים בספרי מוסר, כי באמת עיקר עבודת השם היא רק על ידי יראת העונש כנזכר לעיל. Because really, the main way you're going to serve Hashem is only through Yirat HaOnesh. So that's why, we were speaking about this before, you have a person who says, it's okay, I know that Hashem will always accept me, even if I don't get up on time and I had to sleep in this morning. Hashem is chanuna marbeh lisloach and everything. So what happens is, if it's Hashem or the Yetzer Hara, whoever, they make the person afterwards have such a crash that he begins to panic that he's going to lose everything. So they induce him with a fear to wake up. And don't just rely, okay, Hashem is compassionate, it's like the Gemara says, right? Someone says, I'll sin and I'll do tshuva, achateh v'ashuv, lo maspikim b'yado l'ashuv. In other words, who says you have the opportunity? You're going to lose it. And they warn a person. So there is an attitude of having pachad and fear out of getting punished and getting burnt. And that's what's needed. Okay, V'amar. Because he's going into this in relationship to philosophy. We mentioned it earlier in relationship to philosophy. He connected it there a little. Okay, so he goes on. So now he's going a step further. In the main, which type of people are going to create technology, are going to produce technology? What type of people will you find making new innovations in life? Will you find it to be the Talmidei Chachamim, like the people immersed in the Torah, or the people who are interested in maximizing enjoyment and pleasure in this world? So obviously, who the people are after to get technology advancing and all these new inventions and everything? What type of people? People have an interest in ulterior motives, like making money, to becoming popular, to becoming famous, getting something out of it, producing something that will help mankind, and for what? To have it more comfortable in this world. So already you see the type of people who are going to make inventions have Olam Hazeh in mind, and that must mean their emunah already is not there. So if their emunah is not there, what type of people we're talking about? We're talking about already people who have a level, a degree of kfira, of atheism in them, because they have already philosophical ideas in their hashkafa, which already caused them that they don't believe anyways, and anyways they're after to make money, to enjoy, to get things moving and everything. So Rabbi Nachman blames, and he says the inventors are also philosophers. Those who invent are also steeped in philosophy, because that's what's pushing them to make inventions. Why just sit down and serve Hashem? No, I want to make money, I want to do that. Why? Because you're in Olam Hazeh. Why are you after Olam Hazeh? Because you're already convinced with your philosophical ideas that it's only this world. Anyone already who's after the Ta'avot Olam Hazeh has already a level of kfira and philosophy. Rabbeinu said that now, even a child in the baby crib will already have some philosophy. He said that even a little child already has induced in him from just the air of the world, now how the world is so polluted spiritually today, even a child has already philosophical ideas, heretical ideas already induced in him already. Garbage and tuma to be against the Hashem already. It's induced already as at a young age. So now Va'amar, Rabbeinu went on and said, all these inventions and these innovations of technology that these philosophers created through their wisdom, you see, they take what's below the world, the physical world, and use that to make things. What's the Torah? The Torah takes what's beyond the world, the mishpat and the chok of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then how, for example, how Hashem wants the mitzvah of Hafashat Chala to be done. How Hashem wants you to do the laws of eating properly, and how to wash your hands, and kashrut, and tefillin, and mezuzah. What the Torah does is there's chukim mishpatim. Now in the Torah, so that's what the Gemara, for example, in Halacha, they develop how to use the physical matter, but in mind of doing the Ratzon of Hashem. And now the Chochmot Chitzoniot of the Goyim, they detach any spiritual relevance to the wind, the fire, the earth, the minerals, the vegetation, the creation. They just take the physical aspect in itself and make a discovery, make an invention just with this looking of the physical thing in itself, without having HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Ratzon in mind at all. It's only what can we do now to make it to perfect it and innovate and develop and everything. When it comes to making mitzvot proper and everything, even there's a type of chokhmah. Even though Baruch Hashem, on one hand, many things have been made in technology to make tzitzit much better, make tefillin better, make Hanukkah lighting. When you're traveling, they have now the new Hanukkah olive oil, which is muksha. It's hard. You have hard. So people invented it, right? And you think it's for a mitzvah. So it's great on one hand. On the other hand, the person who invented it, he didn't have that in mind. He had in mind to make money, to make big bucks. So there already on his side, there's kfirah already in his side that he was toiling in toreach even to do for the mitzvah. Fine, it's a mitzvah and everything. But the person who invented and everything, there's a side purpose which is not kadosh necessarily that pushed him to invent it. What? I'm going to make money out of this. I'm going to make money out of this. So that already is a problem in a way. It's more delicate, and you say, okay, we can't just sit and do nothing. Look, we need recorders, we need telephones, we need cameras, we need things to make the Torah more accessible. Fine, we're using it already. Ein baya. But those who are mamtzi'im, there's a din v'cheshbon. There's a punishment for that. Even though I'm benefiting from it, it's like, for example, kilayim. When you take a branch of a grapefruit and then a branch of an orange and you put it together and you make now a pomela. The person who did it, he did an avera. But now, once it's in the world, I can benefit from it, right? I don't get punished for eating fruit that was grafted, which is an isur kilayim. The person who did it, he got the punishment. But now I'm benefiting from it. It's okay.
Even the first generation.
What do you mean? The first generation of the but afterwards we're allowed to use it. We see. Afterwards, it's done. It's done already. It wasn't supposed to be done. You went ahead and did it. Well, it's an invention in a sense. It's a new innovation. Just the idea there that there is a tachbula and hamtza'ah who gets involved in it. It's not necessarily the people who are kedoshim and tehorim and they're involved in serving Hashem. It's people who have an interest. I'm going to make big bucks. I'm going to make money and this and that. So there's already a type of a kfira in the attitude of doing things, even b'kedusha. I'm not going to go into that much, but let's focus on Rabbeinu's perspective. It's hamtza'ot and tachbulot. In the main, it's by the people in the world. There's the world scientists and everything. Kigon. So he says, for example, klei milchama niflaim, wondrous weapons. Ushar kelim ha'asuyim betachbulot al pi chokhmah. All these wondrous type of inventions and utensils which are done with such tremendous wisdom. V'chayotzer bazeh shar inyane chidushim shelahem. All these wondrous inventions, sheimtzi kol echad v'echad mechachmehem, that all of each and every one of their scholars invented. Amar shakol milemala. So now Rabbeinu is saying something a step forward. That it came into existence is from above. It's not from them. We're not going to give them the credit after they created it. I have to apologize. I thought Rabbeinu was going to a Sichot that we know about putting down the ones who are mamtziim. But he wants to say that where's it coming from? It's not coming from these philosophers. It's coming from Shamayim. כי לא היה אפשר להם לבוא על זה רק על ידי שהתנוצץ להם השכל בזאת החוכמה. It only came to their head to make the invention in the first place because the sparking to come in their brain to make this invention, it came from above, the idea. שבא לאותו חכם התנוצצות מלמעלה. It comes from above, the idea, the inspiration to make it. I got mixed up because elsewhere, Rabbeinu talks about there's such wondrous chachamim, they make inventions to kill people. They make a nuclear missile that in 1 second they can kill 1 million people in one shot. What wondrous chachamim there are for inventing tools, but for detrimental. But he's not talking about. He's talking about now, where does it come that they invent? Because when it has arrived, that specific time and moment, that this wisdom or this invention should be revealed in the world, so Hashem sent it from above, that it should enter their brain to make, we have to make this invention, this and that, this idea again, Hashem wants that there should be developments, but don't give the credit to the person who's inventing it. That he's doing it, he's the poshea, he's the guy who's the loser, that because of his attitude, he's the one involved in it, in the philosophy and the chachamim. But don't give him the credit, such an amazing tool and everything, look how much it's useful and everything, a phone, a cellular phone, a recorder, a camera, look what it's doing now for Kodesh and everything. See, it's from Shamayim when it came to the world. Don't give them the credit. Ki bevadai, because definitely, גם החכמים הקדמונים שהיו מקודם חכו גם על זאת. Also, there were scholars before them who also thought about how are we going to do this? How are we going to transport a person from here to here in 1 hour? How can we do that? They thought about it. They began to think until eventually somebody came up with the airplane and made the airplane. But people also originally, they thought we have to see how to make transportation much more faster. They also thought about it. So why didn't the earlier scholars come to the Chachma v'Hatzamtzah? אתה מפריע את השיר. לא באו הם על זאת התחבולה והמצאה. Why did they not come to this תחבולה והמצאה? Why did they not come to this invention and the later scholars, yes? רק באמת הכל מלמעלה. Everything is from heaven, from above. וכשבא העת שיתגלה זאת הדבר, and when the time is right that this thing should be revealed in the world, אז מתנוצץ לו השכל, so then it shines to the person in his brain, ואז בא אותו חכם על אותה תחבולה. And it comes to that scholar, the invention, the innovation to make this new technology, it was sent from above to the place that it reaches the person. But what's funny is Rabbeinu starts talking about in a negative term. And already he's talking about how negative it is philosophy. So we have the direction that these are negative people and negative attitudes. So then how come we see something positive, that they create technology and I'm benefiting from it? So Rabbeinu is saying, it's not from them, it's from Shamayim that they sent it to the person. But the person in himself, that he is the candidate, he's involved in Olam Hazeh. It's elsewhere, in HaRan, I remember. In HaRan, Rabbeinu talks about anyone who made an invention, they then died through the invention. Like they say about, what's his name, the guy who discovered the lightning rod. You know how to, what's his name again? I forgot the inventor. What was his name? There's a guy from Pennsylvania State. What's his name? You guys know these things, no? In history? There's a guy who invented something of electricity, and there was a guy who invented...
segways.
Right. So each person, they said they died in relationship to the discovery. They had a bad end. They got electrocuted. The guy who discovered electricity, he died from being electrocuted. That's what Rabbeinu says elsewhere in HaRan, in Book Tzadik, that they in the end fall from the discovery. So they get punished for it. But there is a credit that it's benefited. Hashem uses them to make this discovery in the world, but don't give them the credit. The Rabbeinu, he's stressing it. Nishlachno milamala. It comes from above, and it comes to that person. Okay, נשלח מלמעלה ממקום שהגיע לו. כי בוודאי אין המקבלים דרך הקדושה, רק דרך הסטרא, וזה פשוט. You see, because definitely, they don't receive it from the path of holiness, because they're philosophers. They're interested only in this world. Okay? They don't get it from the pathway of holiness, only from the other side. And this is understood. This is understandable. This is pashut, he's saying. It's so clear that it comes to them from the tumah, because anyways, they're philosophers, they're involved in the world, this world. Atheistic idea is not connected to Hashem, not interested in how can I make Hashem present, how can I serve Hashem with this. That's not their interest. Their interest is to get this out to the world for personal pleasure, for physical pleasures. Just by the way, good things will be developed from it. How could it be that something good will come out of somebody bad? Because that's what Rabbeinu is saying here now. That the source of the good is coming from Shamayim, that it enters that person's brain to reveal to the world. So we don't give them the credit, because that's Rabbeinu's proof. Yet scholars before them were much more wiser than them. How come he didn't discover it? How come only 50 years later, this guy, Galileo, or the scientist discovered it, the other ones didn't discover it? We're much better than him. From here you see is a proof that it's not the person who gets the credit, it's from Shamayim they decided the time is right. And they use this person because anyways he's involved already in it, and the byproduct will be a benefit, yes, for people, even Jews, to serve Hashem using the technology. Fine. So now he says in brackets, וגם להבדיל. אלו האומרים פשטים וחידושים בגמרא הפירוש רש"י ותוספות, אילו לא היה נשלח להם מלמעלה מן השמיים, אי אפשר להם כלל לבוא על החידוש. And now, Rabbeinu says this idea is also in Kedusha now. Now in Kedusha, people want to serve Hashem. Watch this. Those who make beautiful Sfarim, Chidushim, Pshatim and Chidushim, in the Gemara and Rashi and Tosafot, you have many Sfarim, because the depth of going into the logic behind how the people of the Gemara works is endless. You see people, they can spend years and years and years on just 1 or 2 or 3 pages of Gemara. They can go all the way, because the logic, once it's activated in the learning in Inyan, it's the beauty of the Torah. It's just endless. So now that's why you have always Chidushim coming, even on the Pshat. On the Pshat especially. So those people who say all types of Pshatim and Chidushim in the Gemara and Rashi and Tosafot, he's saying, don't give them the credit either. Even though they're good people, they don't get the credit. If it wasn't sent from Shamayim, that this person should write this type of chidush on the Rashi, on the Tosafot, on the Gemara, whatever, they would never have been zocheh to come to this insight in the Torah. Everything comes from above. Any new invention, it's a gift from Hashem, period. Each person receives from the place that he receives. See elsewhere, where Rabbi Nachman talks about this elsewhere, כי בוודאי יש בעניין זה אלפים ורבבות מדרגות מהיכן כל אחד ואחד מקבל הערה והתנוצצות בשכלו. Because there's definitely in this thing, in this concept where a person receives from above in order to reveal something in the world, he's saying there's tens of thousands of levels in this where each person receives this innovation, this chidush, where he gets it from, where he gets this light, this arousal in his mind to make this creation and this chidush. From where are they giving over to the person this insight, or a chokhmah, or going backward to the discoveries, the inventions, or this chokhmah, this wisdom? But the rule is, remember this rule, שכל מיני חידושים שמחדשים החכמים, הן בקדושה, כגון פשטים ודרושים וכיוצא, הן להבדיל בענייני חוכמות שלהם, הכל מושיטים להם ושולחים להם בשכלם מלמעלה. Unbelievable, right? The rule is that all these insights that the Mechadesh in learning Torah, that the Torah scholars they discover, whether it's in holiness, like we said, Pshatim and Drushim, all these beautiful insights in the Torah which are just endless, or on the other side of the worldly matters, of the scientists and the philosophers, that they also discover inventions and innovations and technology, everything is given to them, Moshikin Lahem, and they send it to them, to their brain from above. Each and every person according to his level. Just this comes to teach a person to remember that he's not involved. It's Hashem who's deciding how the world will be developed, whether it's the Torah or whether it's also in society. and there should be no credit taken to the person. It's from Shamayim. It's mamash from Shamayim, and there's no room for a philosopher to say because of what he did. Look, it was so wise of him to invest in university and invest in science because look what came out of it. And the answer is no. Hashem, he could have chosen somebody else, even a little guy, to bring it out. This guy was chosen for whatever reason, not because, and we don't credit him to his discovery because of what he invested before. It has nothing to do with it. Hashem gave it to him as a gift. He was chosen for a different reason. And don't give the credit, but what would you, the Jewish people, have done if there weren't all these scholars and people who were intellectual? You would have no doctors, you have no lawyers. Who would you turn to when you're sick and this and that? And all these things, you'd just be people who are very backwards. You're 200 years behind the rest of the culture, the rest of society, the rest of the world. You don't have a good telephone like we do now. We're very advanced and everything. Look at you guys, you wouldn't have these things. And the answer is, it's not them. It's Hashem decides who, where, what, when. Has nothing to do with this. And don't fool me to convince. That's what we're saying. There's no way to convince me that they're the responsible because of their investment, especially in Olam Hazeh. And also in the Kedusha that Hashem decides that these amazing, where were these Kedushim? Where was the Arizal's insights? How come Rashi didn't know about all these things of the Kabbalah and come on, why didn't the door of the Rishonim and the Geonim, the Rishonim, they didn't know about these unbelievable teachings of the Baal Shem Tov? Come on, they didn't know about what the Arizal revealed and the Ramak. What is this? And we have these things now. Where they were primitive? No, Hashem gave each person at his time. And no one is credited. Hashem opened the door at this moment, this time. That's also the Kedusha. And that this guy should be Mechadish, there should be a Rogachover with such amazing Chidushim on Shas and everything. It came Dafka at that time. This chair's going to break it. Okay, alright. It's a weak chair on every person. To go on. Yeah, we can go on a little? We'll just start the next Sif. Paragraph number 6. I think I'll be okay until the share ends. היצר הרע דומה כמו מי שהולך ורץ בין בני אדם. The Yetzer Hara is like somebody who's going and running between people. וידו סגורה, and his hands are closed like this. The Yetzer Hara is like someone who's going like this. ואין אדם יודע מה שבתוכה, and he's holding it in a way that he's like hiding something very special. And no one has any clue what's in his hands. והוא מרמה בני אדם ושואל לכל אחד, and he fools people, mankind, and he asks each person, "Man yoches, what do you think I'm holding in my hand?" ולכל אחד נדמה כאילו הוא אוחז מה שהוא מתהווה. And each person, he thinks, he imagines that the Yetzer Hara has in his hands what I really want the most in my life. ועל כן, and because of this, he's able to fool people. הכל רצים אחריו. Everyone runs after the Yetzer Hara, following the ideas and the trickeries of the Yetzer Hara to follow his pathway, to make the decisions, the wrong decisions in life, because you're following the Yetzer Hara in doing so. Because everyone thinks, I'm going to win the lottery, I'm going to get this, what the Yetzer Hara has in store for me. Oh, it's good to follow this path because I have only good waiting for me. And afterwards, the Yetzer Hara opens his hand. You want to see what I got you invested in running after me. You want to see what you got? The Yetzer Hara afterwards opens his hands, and there's nothing in the hands. I made you waste your life. I made you waste your time on nothing. You thought you'd become rich and famous and popular and become somebody in this, and then you left with nothing. So too it is that the Yetzer Hara literally is like this. He succeeded in fooling the entire world. And everyone is running after the Yetzer Hara, who's just convincing them to be involved in Olam Hazeh, this world. And he's able to trick and fool each and every person until each person, it seems to him that the Yetzer Hara has in his hand what that person wants. Each person according to his silliness, his stupidity, and his desires. I'm going to become popular. I'm going to have all the all the women that I want. I'm going to be famous, and all this shtusim that they have in their head. People who invest, you see all these people who invest time to get a good education, to go to university and everything. What do they have in mind? To make money, to make it good, to succeed in everything. They have hopes for these things, and not necessarily, and is the case true that in the end they got what they wanted. Afterwards they lost everything. They ended up with a divorce, and she took everything that I had. The guy, became a very successful dentist, and he opened a big firm and everything. And then 50 years later, his wife decides, I don't need you anymore, and she takes everything, and he's left with nothing. In the end, it may be nice and fancy at the beginning, but the Yetzirah fooled him. You see, you wasted, you invested. What did you get with that? See, this is the attitude of the world, is to run after, I'm going to become, I'm going to get an accomplishment, and this and that, and then the Yetzirah fools a person, saying there's nothing at the end, there's just a dead end, and you wasted your life following me. And then at that point, they can't return. They're stuck in the Yerush, he brought them to a point where when does it open his hand? When he gets the person stuck in a narrow tunnel that he can't go back out, he says, okay, now I can show you what I got you here for. And he opens his hand and says, you got nothing. Now you're stuck in the tunnel. That's it, you're finished. And at the end, he opens his hands, and there's nothing in his hands. Because no one can fulfill what he was looking for in the first place. This is why it's so important to have Hashem in your picture. You don't know where you're going. You don't know even if you're making the right decisions in life. You don't even know if the way, my Kedusha, okay, I want to become a Breslov, I want to become a tzaddik, I want to become this. I don't know myself if I have good motives. I might have kavod in mind because I read these stories about Ibn Nachman. I want to become a tzaddik like that. Why? You have an ulterior motive? Or you're looking for the emes? What's making you drive? What's making you run? You don't know yourself. One thing for sure though, if at every stage you're honest with yourself and you ask Hashem, I have no idea which direction I'm going in my life, and I ask you to take over my life. I ask you to lead my life. David HaMelech, right? Hadricheni b'amitecha. Kapitel Kaf 25 in Tehillim, he says, guide me according to your emet. Hashem, I want your emes. I want your emes. I have no idea where I'm going. So you stand, you can say maybe 100% chance of not falling in the hands of the Yetzirah. If now Hashem is the one who's guiding you, and not the Yetzirah, and even though there's temptations and everyone else is doing it, and your friends are telling, come on, do it also. Invest here, do this, do that. I know, like for example, I remember there was a whole story that many people invested to buy land, buy apartments in Emmanuel. There's a little village, there's a yeshiva called Emmanuel, right? So many, even Breslovers, they invested, come on, everyone else is doing it, everybody else is doing it, argument. Everyone else is doing it, do it also, buy land, it's cheap and everything, and in the end they lost everything, because the guy was a robber, the guy who made the whole project of the building and everything, he took all the money that they gave, and he didn't register anything illegally, and he took off. He left the country, and these people were stuck with chovot. It happened also in Beit Shemesh. There are many cases like this, right? So why? And people afterwards they have to pay for the rest of their life to pay back these terrible debts, and it caused them major damage in their future of their life. Shalom bayit problems, the chinuch, whatever decisions, the person went nuts and thinking a different way and everything. So how to avoid pitfalls like that? Why do people fall into that? Because again, the Yetzirah. Come on, do it and this. So what's pushing the person? Everyone else is doing it, and what is that? So what that everyone else is doing it? That means I'm going to have a successful life. It must be the right thing to do. And what I have in mind, that I'm going to succeed. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. My children, a nice family, a nice Shabbos table, and everything. So that's also the trick of the Yetzirah. And a person has to be so emisdik, so amiti in making decisions in life. You don't know if you're making the decisions right or wrong. You don't know. But what can you do to make sure that you have the right decisions in life? Is that if you're asking Hashem, guide, make the things Hashem develop for me. Because I don't know. I don't know, should I move to Yerushalayim? I don't know if I should marry this woman. Should I open a business like that? I don't know, Hashem. I don't know what's the emes or emes. I don't know what you want. Should I wear this type of hat? Should I wear this bekisha? Should I daven like this? Should I be like, I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't want to make a fatal mistake that I'm going to lose it for the rest of my life, Hashem. So that's the main way to be protected from this Yetzirah who's fooling you. He fools you for what you see. So you have no choice but to close your eyes, not to look at the Yetzirah who's running between people. He's running. He's tempting you non-stop to get it.